Welcome. My name is Nate Parsekian. I'm a pastor at Shores Community Church, and we're doing a Facebook Live event called Big Questions, where we answer questions that you might have about God, about life, really about anything. And we did our first live Facebook event last week, and I talked a little bit about why. Why are we doing this? Because I found that people have big questions and they don't know who to ask. They don't feel comfortable to approach people with their questions. And we need a forum or a medium to allow pastors or people from the faith community to talk through some of the issues people have with Christianity, with faith, with Jesus. And so hopefully we'll be very considerate of your questions that have been asked, and we'll try to give you good answers. Remember, these are all coming from a Christian perspective. We're both pastors. And please like and share this Facebook event. If you enjoy it, please like or share it so more people can be exposed to these topics we're talking about. Okay, I'm here with Eric Stratton.
Hey.
He's a local pastor in the area. He's a pastor at Bridge Bible Church. And let's just dive right in. We have a short time frame to cover this stuff, so let's get at it. Okay, so here's a question that was asked that I'd like you to handle. Can you be a Christian if Monday through Saturday you're not impacted by your faith? Can you accept Jesus without life change? It's a great question. It has to do with Christian commitment, level of your faith. How do you answer that?
Yeah, we'll take 3 or 4 minutes when we could talk for probably 2 hours on just one of the two questions.
Yeah, exactly.
So this is an absolutely impossible task, but the short version is that this all depends on what your view is of Christian.
Okay.
And you know the stats, probably at this point 3/5, perhaps less, because of the trend line of people, at least in our country, self-identify as Christian.
Right.
So what does that mean?
Yeah.
Roughly half of those are Roman Catholic, roughly half of those are some other Protestant mainline denomination, independent fellowship, sometimes churches franchise, for lack of a better way to put it.
Yeah.
They would throw what we would consider cults, they would throw those in under the general Christian label.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of that has to do, Nate, with what is the definition of Christian?
Right.
So I go back and I say, what does the text say? What does the scripture teach us?
Right. Yeah.
And, among other things, I thought about probably one of the most often quoted verses of religious and irreligious people in our culture, John 3:16.
Right.
I'm going to read it on my phone / Bible.
Yeah, exactly.
For God so loved the world that he gave his only son, and whoever believes, stay on that word, in him,
Okay.
will not perish but have everlasting life.
Yeah. Okay.
What does it mean to believe? I can tell you what it doesn't mean. It doesn't mean to have intellectual assent or to choose to self-identify with something that is a comfortable movement for you.
Right. Okay.
It goes way beyond that. To believe, and it's mentioned scores of times throughout just John's writings alone, but that word has to do with reliance and trust and commitment and just a deep layering. So when somebody says, well, I have, and you fill in the blank with some experience. I went forward at a crusade.
Yeah.
I was baptized. I threw a log in the camp and the fire burned and I sang Kumbaya. I asked Jesus in my heart. Look, the pastor signed my Bible from Awana.
Yeah.
All of these things. I say, great. Good benchmarks.
Yeah.
What are you doing today?
Perfect.
And,
Right.
and I think the whole idea of believing has much more to do with a one-time profession,
Right.
much less to do with a one-time profession than it does an ongoing relationship. And it's interesting, even the context in which John 3:16 occurs, Jesus was talking with a pious, well-respected seeker within the Jewish religious community in his time named Nicodemus.
Yeah.
And he came to him at night. They were having this really cool, like, hey, can you do Starbucks with me for a few minutes? Can we but can we go to one out of town so nobody sees us? And his whole thing is, dude, do you not get this? What it means to be born again? Hello?
Yeah.
You're the teacher of Israel? And so I think that for alignment with the biblical definition of Christian, for those who presuppose that they want true faith,
Right.
it's a commitment.
It's commitment.
Yeah.
And commitment, and I also heard you say relationship.
Right.
And something that is active and present right now. That's something you can point to that happened 20, 30 years ago.
Yeah.
Something you're experiencing in your life at this moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that a point in time conversion experience is invalid. I had one.
Yes. Yeah, me too.
A year and a half after high school, I had a very powerful experience at a church service against the backdrop of my lifestyle up until that time, and it changed me.
Yeah, I was in my late teens. I was
Yeah.
17. I can even give you the date.
Yeah.
December 6, 1995.
Yeah, and
I was stuck in my head.
December something, 1975, but
75?
75. Yeah, it was. After
Oh, so
high
you're a little
school.
older than me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. All the viewers will want to take a guess, and whoever guesses right, they get a Starbucks card from me. How old is Eric?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, right.
it would be great. So here's a question I got asked, and it's a tough question that people wrestle with a lot. What do I do when I'm angry with God? Because that happens. Things happen in life, and we question God. We wonder, God, what are you doing?
Yeah, we think it's somehow disrespectful to be authentic.
Yeah, like we can't be real or genuine
Right.
with God with our
Right.
feelings. So I just have some pointers to help somebody who's wrestling through this. Now, know it's a process. So it's not like the emotions are going to completely evaporate.
Right. It's a journey rather than a destination.
Yes, it's
Yeah.
a journey, and it takes time to work through it, especially when it's tied with grief or it's tied with something that was an injustice or an abuse. It just doesn't immediately go away. Okay, so with that being said, there's a guy in the Bible who really struggled with life and with what he calls his enemies, and he just is very honest with God. So my first pointer when you're dealing with anger and anger towards God is express it.
Right. Speak it.
Speak, vent to God. And so I want to read you an example of where this is happening. How long, O Lord? This is this guy talking to God. How long, O Lord, will you forget me forever? How long will you hide your face from me? How long must I wrestle with my thoughts every day with sorrow in my heart? We talk about honesty. How long will my enemy triumph over me? Look on me and answer. I mean, that's very direct.
Yeah.
Answer me, God. O Lord, my God, give me light to my eyes, or I'll sleep in death. My enemy will say, I have overcome him, and my foes will rejoice when I fall. And so, when we read this, we see, okay, vent, share, talk to God, let it out, don't hold it back. So express it. But then, confirm who God is. Remind yourself that God is in control, that God has a purpose and a plan, and God is present with you through the struggle. And as you're expressing, you're saying, okay, yet God, I know you're good, and I'm not going to push you or throw you out, though I'm going through these emotions. Keep confirming that who God is in your relationship to Him, reminding yourself of this relationship.
Yeah, there's just so much about being honest, and I think somehow that we equate throwing even our hard questions and our anger and our tears and, again, those groanings which can't even be uttered. We can't put them into words. We are so spitting mad.
Right.
Or we are just numb with hurt. In fact, I just was with a group of employees. They had a friend, a coworker who died, and I was brought into that as an area pastor to do some troubleshooting. And one of the words that was used in that context was numb.
Yeah.
I'm numb.
Yeah. And the only way, and I've found in many of my pastoral experiences, the only way to really address some of that numbness is just to say it, to express it, to communicate it. And so God is welcoming His followers to talk, to share.
Yeah.
But it's interesting how this ends. He says at the end, but I trust in your unfailing love. Okay,
Right.
Confirming that God is loving. Confirming that God cares. My heart rejoices in your salvation. You're still aware of me, God. You still know me. You see what I'm experiencing. I'm not going alone on this. I will sing to the Lord, for He has been good to me.
That's an act of the will. It's a choice.
It's a choice, and not always do our choices and emotions align.
Right.
Sometimes your emotions can be pushing you in the opposite direction of the choices you know you need to make. But keep making the choices to say, okay, God, I know who you are. I see how you've worked with people in the past. I know you've been good to people in the past and even good to me. Okay, so now going forward, I'm going to trust you. And really that's the final part of dealing with anger with God, is getting to the place of trust. That God is for
Yeah.
me, not against me. And that I know he's got this.
Let me throw in a couple other very brief thoughts.
Yeah.
This really has to do with the fundamental nature of what does it mean to be a Christian. The
Right.
two questions really are tied.
Yeah, exactly.
Because there's a whole wave within the U.S. religious culture that says if you are a child of God, however they define that,
Right.
and I think there's a very
It's a
loose
good point.
definition of
Yeah,
that,
I'm glad you bring this
then
up.
you will have predominantly, if not exclusively, good things almost all the time or all the
Right.
time.
Which is
And then if you don't, it's a lack of faith on your part.
often called the prosperity gospel.
Yeah.
Hey, just kind of, you can claim it. You know, with faith, everything is going to be given. It's
Yeah,
going to be
you,
good to
you elicit these phrases, and then God is somehow bound like a genie in a lamp to do our bidding. And I wish it were that simple, but it's not. My life is messy. Your life is messy.
Exactly.
It's like, and that's the lot of a lot of people.
Right.
The other thing that I would say is just talk it through with somebody. It's
Yeah.
one thing to go to God, but we
Yeah.
also need to do life and be with people.
Right.
And whether that's a trained therapist, whether that's a person who's experienced in the scriptures as a pastor would be, or a Christian leader, or whether it's just a good friend over a cup of
Coffee.
pour over coffee.
Yeah, exactly.
That's so important to be able just to offload that. It's very therapeutic.
Yeah, and that's where, I mean, of course we would care about this. This is why we emphasize being a part of a Christian community,
Right.
a community of faith that will pray for you and support you and talk through this journey, because it is a journey.
Right?
Especially when it's something that, like, death and grief is important and it's very hard to wrestle with, but also abuse.
Oh man.
When there's injustice involved, there's a lot of anger, not only to the person who attacked you, but to God. Why would God allow this to happen to me?
Right.
And so you sharing, bringing this up, having people speak into your life is crucial.
And say, I am with you.
Yeah.
I am with you. That's
Exactly.
huge.
I am with you.
Incarnational.
Exactly. God is, we are with them, but also to keep reminding them that God is with us. And
Yeah.
that's key. God is with us through this journey. All right, these were a couple really, I think, deep questions, tough questions. Hopefully they were helpful. If you want to respond, please comment below, but be respectful as you do that. And of course, next week we'll be back at it with a couple new questions. And what do you think? We should have Eric back, don't you think?
Oh.
Thank you,
My
Eric.
privilege, yeah. Thanks,
Appreciate
Nate.
it.
Appreciate it. It's been great.
Yep.